You wake up each morning knowing your job is to help the king with his most private moment, his toilet time. Sounds revolting, but in Henry VIII's court, being the groom of the stool made you one of the most powerful men in England. Step into this wild, shocking world of royal secrets and bizarre privilege. This video plunges you into the strange life of a groom of the stool in King Henry VIII's Tudor court. You'll follow a noble boy's journey to becoming the king's closest ally, wielding power through an unlikely job. Expect a wild ride filled with humor, shocking facts, and a glimpse into the gritty glamour of royal life. Get ready for a historical adventure like no other. You start life in the 16th century, born into a noble family, surrounded by the grandeur of a castle or sprawling manor. Your childhood home is a maze of stone corridors, tapestries, and flickering firelight. Servants bustle around, and you're raised to believe your family's status is a big deal. From the moment you can talk, your parents drill into you the importance of loyalty to the king. You're told it's your duty to serve the crown, a sacred calling that makes your chest puff with pride. It's all very noble, and you nod along, not yet aware of what serving might actually entail. You spend your days studying Latin and French, stumbling over complicated words while a stern tutor glares. Court etiquette lessons are endless. How to bow, how to address a duke, how to not trip over your own feet at a banquet. It's exhausting, but you're told it's your ticket to a glorious future in the royal court. Your parents love name-dropping their connections to the monarchy, boasting about distant cousins who've dined with the king. Their stories spark dreams of striding through the palace, maybe even catching the king's eye. You're too young to know those dreams might involve a very different kind of royal attention. Out in the courtyard, you swing a wooden sword, pretending to be a gallant knight slaying dragons. Your friends cheer as you charge imaginary foes, not a single thought about chamber pots crossing your mind. Life is all about glory, not the gritty reality of royal hygiene. Sometimes, the king or his nobles visit, rolling up in carriages, their silk cloaks glittering in the sun. You gawk at their jewel-encrusted hats and velvet doublets, thinking they're the coolest people alive. Those fleeting glimpses of royalty make you itch to join their world. At around 10, you're packed off to another noble household to learn the ropes of service. You polish silver, carry trays, and try not to spill soup on anyone important. It's your first taste of a bigger world, and you're eager to prove you're more than just a kid from the countryside. Fast forward to your teens, and you're a low-level servant in the royal court, scurrying through the bustling palace. You're surrounded by nobles in extravagant outfits, and you feel like a minnow in a sea of sharks. Every day is a crash course in not screwing up. You get good at weaving through crowds of haughty courtiers, balancing goblets of wine without a drop spilled. You learn to smile politely when a lord snaps at you, keeping your cool under pressure. It's like a high-stakes dance, and you're determined not to trip. One day, your knack for staying calm catches the eye of someone big, maybe the current groom of the stool or a powerful noble. They see something in you, loyalty, charm, or maybe just a face the king might like. You're summoned, and your heart races with excitement. Being chosen as a groom of the stool is a massive deal, a step toward real influence in the court. But when they explain the job, helping the king with his toilet needs, your jaw drops. You're supposed to do what now? It's a gut punch, but the prestige keeps you from running. Your family beams with pride, throwing a feast to celebrate your new role. Your friends, though, can't stop laughing, doubled over at the thought of you cleaning up after the king's private moments. You grit your teeth, trying to focus on the honor, not the giggles. Training begins, and you're introduced to the closed stool, a portable toilet draped in luxurious pink velvet, like it's trying to pretend it's not a toilet. You practice setting it up, making sure it's spotless and ready for royal use. It's weirdly fancy, and you can't help but chuckle at the absurdity. You learn to read the king's routine like a book, knowing when he eats, drinks, or needs a bathroom break. It's like being a detective, piecing together clues from his meals and moods. You get good at predicting his needs, which makes you feel oddly powerful. Discretion is hammered into you from day one. You're told never to breathe a word about the king's private moments, no matter how juicy the gossip. One slip could ruin you, so you practice keeping your face blank, even when the situation gets awkward. Every morning, you're up at dawn, gathering the close stool, a jug of water, soft towels, and a wash bowl. You double-check everything, knowing a dirty stool could land you in hot water. It's a strange ritual, but you treat it like a sacred duty. You haul the close stool to the king's bedchamber, setting it up with precision. The room smells of incense and wax, and you make sure the stool blends into the opulence. You're like a stagehand, preparing for the king's grand performance. When the king wakes, you help him out of his elaborate clothes, layers of velvet and fur that weigh a ton. It's like undressing a walking tapestry, and you're careful not to snag a single thread. You keep your movements smooth, acting like it's no big deal. As the king settles onto the closed stool, you stand nearby, ready with towels or water. It's awkward at first, but you learn to focus on the job, not the weirdness. You're part butler, part nurse, and you start to see it as just another day at the office. Afterward, you take detailed notes about the king's bowel movements, scribbling down color, consistency, anything the royal physician might need. It's gross, but you treat it like a science experiment, reporting your findings with the seriousness of a scholar. This odd task is your key to staying in the king's good graces. Once the king is done, you swoop in to clean up the mess, making sure not a whiff of odor lingers. You whisk away the waste like a stealthy ninja, leaving the close stool pristine for its next royal appointment. It's gross, but you take pride in keeping things spotless and discreet. You keep a close eye on what the king eats, jotting down notes if he's been scarfing down too much roast pork or chugging wine like it's water. Your reports go straight to the royal physician, who uses them to tweak the king's diet. You're basically a food detective, sniffing out anything that might upset the royal tummy. Wherever the king goes, you're right behind, lugging the velvet-draped close stool like a loyal sidekick. Whether he's off hunting deer or traveling to a distant castle, you make sure his portable throne is ready. It's a workout, but you've got the stamina of a pack mule. Sometimes you're tasked with tasting the king's food to check for poison, a job that makes your heart skip a beat. You take a cautious nibble, praying it's not laced with anything deadly. It's nerve-wracking, but you figure it's just part of the glamorous life you signed up for. No matter how bad the smells or awkward the moments, you perfect the art of the poker face. You stand there, calm as a statue. Even when the air gets a bit ripe, it's a skill that makes you a legend among the other servants who marvel at your iron stomach. You live in the palace, in rooms that are fancy but a step below the king's sprawling chambers. Your quarters are decked out with tapestries and a cozy fireplace, a far cry from the drafty manners of your childhood. It's not the royal suite, but you feel like you've made it. Your wardrobe is a dream, full of silk tunics and velvet cloaks stitched by the best tailors in the land. You strut through the palace, looking like you just stepped out of a painting. The clothes are heavy, but they make you feel like $1,000,000, or at least a few hundred gold coins. Meals are a highlight, with tables groaning under the weight of venison, fine wines, and fluffy white bread. You dig into feasts that would make a peasant weep, savoring every bite. It's a perk that almost makes up for the less savory parts of your job. You join the court's fun, galloping through forests on hunts or twirling at grand dances. Musicians strum lutes while you try not to step on any noble toes during a lively galliard. These moments of revelry remind you why you put up with the weirdness of your role. You've got your own servants, who help you wrestle into your fancy clothes and keep your rooms tidy. It's a strange feeling, being served while you serve the king, but you get used to it. They're like your personal pit crew, keeping you ready for the royal race. Bathing is a rare event, maybe once or twice a month, in a big wooden tub filled with lukewarm water. You splash around, scrubbing with rough soap, following the medieval trend of minimal hygiene. It's not exactly a spa day, but you feel marginally cleaner. You sport simple but classy jewelry, like a gold chain or a ring, to show off your status. Nothing too flashy, just enough to say, I'm kind of a big deal. It's a subtle flex that makes you stand a little taller among the court's peacocks. In your rare free moments, you hunker down with other nobles for a game of cards or chess. You laugh and bluff your way through, enjoying the camaraderie. It's a welcome break from the constant hustle of court life, even if you're terrible at strategy. You can't help but overhear juicy gossip about court scandals, whispered in shadowy corridors. Who's plotting against whom? Who's sneaking off with whose wife? It's better than a modern soap opera. You keep your ears open but your mouth shut, knowing loose lips sink ships. Not everyone loves your rise to prominence, and you catch jealous glares from other nobles. You learn to sidestep their petty schemes, keeping your head down and your wits sharp. It's like navigating a snake pit, but you're getting good at dodging the fangs. One day, while the king is on the closed stool, he lets slip a secret, maybe about a rival or a new policy. You realize you're not just a servant, you're in the inner circle, privy to information that could shake the kingdom. It's a heady feeling, and you start to see the real power of your role. Soon, nobles start cozying up to you, offering compliments and sly bribes to get on your good side. They know you have the king's ear, and they want you to whisper their names favorably. You play it cool, enjoying the sudden attention but staying loyal to your royal boss. You find yourself influencing the king's decisions, like suggesting a new official for a vacant post. Your quiet words during private moments carry weight, and you see your ideas take shape in the court. It's a thrill to know you're steering the ship, even from behind the scenes. The king trusts you with his private purse, a hefty budget for his personal expenses. You handle the gold coins with care, feeling like a treasurer of a small empire. It's a big responsibility, and you're proud to be the guy he relies on. You're handed the key to the king's private chambers, a shiny symbol of his absolute trust. It's not just a piece of metal, it's proof you're one of the most important people in his world. You carry it with pride, knowing it sets you apart from the rest of the court. One quiet moment, you overhear the king muttering about a troublesome noble while perched on the closed stool. A few days later, that noble is packing his bags, banished from court. You realize your eavesdropping gives you a front row seat to the kingdom's power plays, and it's both thrilling and terrifying. The king rewards your loyalty with gifts, like his old velvet cloaks or a carved oak chair from his chambers. These hand-me-downs are treasures, piling up in your rooms like a royal yard sale. You're building a small fortune, one discarded doublet at a time. Your influence grows, and you notice nobles treating you with a mix of awe and unease. They bow a little deeper, but their eyes dart nervously, knowing you hold the king's trust. You're like a court celebrity, minus the red carpet but with all the drama. Every day, you tread carefully, knowing one wrong move could make the king's temper flare. A spilled goblet or a poorly timed joke might cost you everything. You've seen his rages, and you'd rather face a wild boar than risk his wrath. You're shaken when Sir Henry Norris, a fellow courtier, is beheaded over his ties to Anne Boleyn in 1536. His fall is a stark reminder that even the king's favorites aren't safe. You double-check your every word, determined to keep your head firmly on your shoulders. Some days, the king's health makes your job extra challenging, like when he's battling constipation or, worse, diarrhea. You grit your teeth, holding your breath through the ordeal. It's not glamorous, but you've learned to handle the royal gut's ups and downs like a pro. Your work never stops, with the king's needs pulling you from bed at all hours. Whether it's a midnight summons or a dawn toilet session, you're always on call. You're exhausted, but you tell yourself it's the price of being indispensable. Secrecy is your golden rule, as one careless whisper could spark a scandal or worse. You lock away the king's private grumbles and quirks, guarding them like a dragon hoarding gold. Your silence is your shield in the cutthroat world of the court. You steer clear of political plots, dodging factions like a sailor avoiding reefs. Taking sides could drag you into a mess, so you play neutral, smiling at everyone but trusting no one. It's a tightrope walk. But you've got the balance of a circus performer. The threat of disease, like the sweating sickness that killed thousands, keeps you on edge. You've heard of nobles dropping dead overnight, and you pray your luck holds. You wash your hands a bit more than most, hoping to outsmart the invisible killers lurking in the palace. Finding time for friends is tough, with your life revolving around the king's schedule. You sneak in quick chats over ale, laughing about court gossip. Those rare moments of normalcy keep you grounded amidst the royal whirlwind. You marry a noblewoman, likely picked by your family to strengthen alliances. The ceremony is grand, and if you're lucky, the king himself sends a blessing, making you the talk of the court. You're thrilled, but you know your new wife will have to share you with the crown. Your wedding might even get a royal nod, with the king tossing in a gift or kind words. It's a huge honor, and you puff up with pride as courtiers congratulate you. You hope your marriage will be a haven from the palace's scheming. You have children, and you dream of them climbing the court's ranks one day. You teach them to be loyal but clever, ready for the palace's snake pit. It's a bittersweet joy knowing they'll face the same pressures you do. You pass on lessons about surviving the court, warning your kids about flattery and betrayal. You want them to be sharp, like you, dodging the traps of ambition. It's your way of ensuring the family name endures. In your scarce free time, you escape to hunt in the king's forests or flip through a book by candlelight. These moments are rare, like finding a unicorn, and you savor them, but the king's needs always lurk, ready to yank you back to duty. Balancing family and work is a constant juggle, with the king's demands trumping everything. You miss suppers with your kids and anniversaries, but you can't say no to royalty. You hope your family understands you're doing it for their future. If you're fortunate, you serve through multiple reigns, from Henry VIII to his son Edward VI. Each new king brings fresh challenges, but you adapt, proving your worth. You're a court veteran, with stories that could fill a library. When you retire, the king might reward you with a manor or a shiny title, like a knighthood. You settle into a quieter life, surrounded by fields and loyal dogs. It's a far cry from the palace's chaos, and you're grateful for the peace. You regale your grandchildren with tales of your bizarre job, watching their eyes widen at the thought of you tending the king's toilet. They giggle and gasp, begging for more stories. You laugh, happy to be the family's eccentric legend. You might scribble a memoir, carefully tiptoeing around the king's secrets to avoid trouble. You focus on the funny bits, like the time the close stool nearly tipped over. It's your way of leaving a mark without stirring up old ghosts. Your final years are comfortable, spent in a cozy manor with a crackling hearth. You think back on your court days, the wild highs and nerve-wracking lows. It was a strange life, but you wouldn't trade the memories for anything. You take pride in outsmarting the Tudor court's dangers, from plots to plagues. You were more than a servant, you were a survivor. Threading the needle of power and peril. Your story is one for the history books, even if it's a bit weird. The Groom of the Stool role slowly vanishes as the court modernizes, fading into obscurity. By the time of Edward VII in 1901, it's a relic, its duties long since reassigned. You're part of a quirky chapter that's closing, but you're glad you played a role. The last groom serves Edward VII, but the job is nothing like your era, more ceremonial than hands-on. The title lingers as a historical oddity, a footnote in royal records. You can't help but smile, knowing you lived it in its wildest days. Your old job becomes a symbol of history's strange power games, where wiping a king's backside could make you a mover and shaker. Scholars chuckle over it, marveling at the absurdity. You're a piece of that puzzle, a testament to how weird the past could be. You leave behind a legacy of loyalty and quick thinking, a noble who thrived in the court's chaos. Your name might not be in every history book, but those who know your story nod with respect. You were a master of an impossible job, and that's enough. Your tale, with its mix of humor and horror, makes future generations laugh and wince. They can't believe anyone signed up for your gig, but they're hooked on the details. You're a reminder that even the strangest lives can shape the world in their own way. Your life as a groom of the stool was a wild blend of grit and glory, where the lowliest tasks opened doors to the highest power. You navigated the Tudor court's dangers, from royal tempers to deadly plots, all while keeping the king's secrets and his close stool spotless. Your story, equal parts absurd and awe-inspiring, proves that even the strangest roles could shape a kingdom's fate. It's a testament to the bizarre, colorful world of history, where loyalty and cunning made you a legend in your own right.